I was asked today to speak about Yud Dalet Shechal Liyas B'Shabbos, and this involves many different sugyas. Minchas Osher, Shalos Teshuvos, Chelek Gimel, Siman. Let me out. Siman whatsoever.
Lamed Hey.
Lamed Hey. There's a brief discussion of some sugyas that I wrote to a young rabbi that wanted to know what to speak about on a Shabbos. I godel the Rosh when Yud Gimel Chaliyas B'Shabbos, and I would like to speak and address a few topics that are not broadly discussed in the Achronim that deal with this question. I saw the shir of the Rosh Koilel, and I would not speak about Shalashudis and how to do Shalashudis because everybody talks about that, and this is such a well-known sugya. I did write extensively about it, and I will make what I wrote available in the Koilel, but I would like to discuss a few other things. Bir Chometz. So the Mishnah, Daf Mem Tes, Omed Aleph M'Socham, Arbos Shechal Liyas B'Shabbos, Mevarer Nesakol Lefnei Shabbos Divrei Reb Meir. Reb Meir says, we're Makayim the Mitzvah Bir Chometz Lifnei Shabbos, V'Chachomim Oimrim Bizmanoi. No reason to be in Lachatz. We did Bir Chometz Shabbos morning, like we do every year of Shabbos. So obviously you can't burn the Chometz, but there are other ways to be Mevar Chometz. You don't need to do it Erev Shabbos. That's a shit of a Chachomim. And Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok makes some of a pshora, compromise. Truma Melefnei Shabbos, V'chulin Bizmanoi. In Shulchan Aruch, the Pesach is Tov Mem Daled Arbos Shechal Liyas B'Shabbos. Boitkin Leil Shloshos U'Mevar Nakol Lefnei Shabbos. U'Meshayre Mozon Shtei Sudos L'Tzorech Shabbos. So obviously the halacha is Kerem Meir. Usually, Yochid v'Rabim halacha kerabim, but here the halacha is in accordance to the shitta of Rebbe Meir. V'mishayim ozen shtei sudas et Shabbos, sudas shlish zmana achamim chavazayin yochal asoysa loy b'matzah v'loy b'chometz. Elo b'matzah shira, and the Ramo brings the minigez to make shalashudas peiris, and that brings us to Bechlal, the sudan shalashudas. There are 5 different opinions. What is the basic need for Shalashudis? Do we need Pas? Do we need Mezoines? Maybe even Peiris? And that's a sugya in Hilchos Shabbos. Lav davke Pesach, but the Ramur brings the minigez, Shalashudis. We do on Mina Peiris or Bosa V'Dogim. That's a shit of the Ramur. Siv Beis below in the Shulchan Aruch. Toiv Levayir b'Erev Shabbos koidem chatzois kedei shalom v'le'letas b'shar shonam levayir achar chatzois. So this is a halacha that's brought in the Tur. Actually, Erev Shabbos is not the Zman of Bir Chometz yet. So, Meikar Adin, you could wait mamish till a few minutes before the Shkia, because the Zman of Bir is actually tomorrow. We just have a technical problem. It's very problematic. How are we Mevar Chometz on Shabbos? And therefore we do it before the Shabbos. But there's no need to do it in the morning. So the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, following in the footsteps of the Tur, it's not Meikar Adin. Toiv levayir b'Erev Shabbos koydem chatzois kedei shelovoy lutois b'shar hashonim levayir achar chatzois. So this is more of a recommendation. The Tzofnas Paneach, the Rogatchover, is always different. He always has his original blick on halachas, and he has a totally different interpretation in the Mishnah. Because the Tzofnas Paneach doesn't have a problem neither with Rashi, nor with Tosfos, nor with the Ramban, nor with the Rashba. He has a great respect for the Rambam, but not for many others. So the Tzofnas there says an original Pshat Chachomim. Reb Meir Omer, Mevayir Hakol Lifnei Shabbos. Chachomim Omer Bizmanoi, Lifnei Shabbos Bizmanoi. That's Siv Beis and Shulchan Aruch, Koydem Chatzois. That's what Chachomim mean Bizmanoi. They don't mean Bizmanoi Shabbos. They mean Erev Shabbos Bizmanoi. That means Lo Kedivrei Reb Meir that you have time till before the Shkia, till Shabbos afternoon. Chachomim say, of course, Lifnei Shabbos, but Bizmanoi Lifnei Shabbos. Interesting. Nobody thought about that. All the Rishonim are mefarish Bismanoi means Bismanoi, this man of every year, which is Erev Shabbos, B'Shor Chamishis. So the Tzavos Benech asks, how could it be that we pass in accordance to the Meir? Yochid v'Rab Malochik Rabim. Besides Yochid v'Rab Malochik Rabim, the halacha is never in accordance with Rab Meir. That's a Gemara in Erev and Daf Yud Gimel. Go to Yudua. Shaloi hoyo b'dorei shel Rab Meir k'moisoi. Shoy oimer al Tomen Torah v'mar alei ponim, or oimer al Torah Tomeh v'mar alei ponim. V'lama lo yikavu halacha k'moisoi. That's a Gemara in Erev and Daf Yud Gimel. If Rab Meir was the greatest, greater than all the other Gedolim in this generation, lama lo yikavu halacha k'moisoi. Mipnei shelo yordu chaveirav l'soiv da'atoi. And that is why the Meir v'reb shel halacha Reb Shimon, the Meir v'reb halacha Reb Yehuda. Ein halacha k'Rab Meir. Kal v'choy mish Rab Meir v'chachamim halacha k'Rabim. So why here do we pass in accordance to the Meir? So the Tzafnas Benech says we don't. We pass it in accordance to the Chachamim. Chachamim say Bismanoi, Yud Gimel Bismanoi. So that's fitting for the Tzafnas Benech. But none of the other Rishonim or the Poskim says that, and they all say Bismanoi means Erev Pesach, and therefore Eloches K'Rab Meir. And there are different reasons why the Eloches K'Rab Meir, and it's just a hamlot, a recommendation. Toiv levayar b'Erev Shabbos koydem chatzos kedei shelo yovel litois b'shar hashonim. The Mishnah Berurah writes koydem chatzos lav davka. Retzon Elohim b'tchilas shel shishis kamo b'shar hashonim. And many have a problem with this Mishnah Berurah b'shar hashonim. No, it's not b'tchilas shel shishis. It's b'sof chamishis, not b'tchilas shel shishis. Chayodam Kuf Chof Tes Sif Tes clearly says Sof Shor Chamishis. So I think some say that it's even less than a Gzeira Legzeira. Some present-day poskim are miyashav divrei Mishnah Berurah. It's probably in Dirshu. I didn't check it. So some argue, why b'tchilas shel shishis? Because Sofchom, it's a Gzeira Legzeira, it's Archoka Sheba Archoka. Miya Keradin, there's Bechal no need to do Biachometz in the morning. You have time in the afternoon. It's just a minig b'yalma shelo yevoyu litois, so dailon, if it's Tchilas shel shishis. Yoisa Nera. If that would be what the Mishnah Berurah wants to say, the Mishnah Berurah would clarify, he would explain. The Mishnah Berurah means that, and especially writes Kamo B'Shar Hashonim. If he writes Kamo B'Shar Hashonim, he doesn't mean to be mechadish that this year is any different than other years. The Shechanor says Shelo Yevolitas B'Shar Hashonim, and the Lashon of the Mishnah Berurah is Lav Davka Koidim Chatzois Retzoin Eloima Betchilas Shor Shishis Kamo B'Shar Hashonim. B'Shar Hashonim is V'Saf Shor Chamishis. The Mishnah Berurah means it should already be mevuar betchilas shel shishis, because min haTorah you need to do biachometz lefnei shel shvius. Chatzois is sof shel shishis. Shos derabanan is 1 hour earlier. That means we do the sreifa sof shel chamishis, and why is that? Because betchilas shel shishis the chometz has to be mevuar. And to me it is clear, that's the kavana of the Mishnah Berurah, and he means nothing else. And there's no difference whatsoever. So, he didn't explain himself clear enough. But his kavana is clear. Betchilas shel shishis means that you need to do biachometz in a way that betchilas shel shishis chometz is already mevuar. I think one of our previous shiurim, I don't remember how many weeks ago, but one of our previous shiurim, we spoke about Tashbisu, and I Bechlal explained when I brought them in Cheschenech and Rab Chaim Brisker and the Noida Yehuda, and we explained that the essence of Mitzvah's Tashbisu actually is Shelo Yiyeh Chometz V'Rshusai. So it should be no wonder that the Mishnah Berurah uses a lashon betchilas shel shishis, and kavona is not that we do the bir betchilas shel shishis, but we do the beer in a way that we should no longer have chametz b'tchilas shishis. So that is the meaning. And how do we actually do beer chametz? So theoretically, one could, after he finishes chametz Shabbos in the morning, go out and throw the chametz into the tzvardeya, into the garbage bins outside. And I don't want to go in. Some of present-day Gedolim argue that those big garbage dumps belong to you, and therefore it's still B'Reshus Shalodam. I don't think there's Kinyan Chotzer in those big garbage bins. First of all, they don't belong to the neighbors. They belong to the Iriyah. But Ein Lecho Hefke Godel Mazeh, and that is not defined B'Reshus Shalodam. Even though technically it is in the possession of who? Of the municipality, not in the possession of any individual. But to me, it's clear that would be hefker. But in many shchunot there is no proper Erev, and people don't want to carry chometz out of the house, so you can burn chometz. So one of the ways is you flush it down the toilet. Tashbisu is a mitzvah. It's not the proper place and the proper way that you want to be Makayim a mitzvah, standing 40 minutes in the toilet, putting little crumbs in the toilet because you don't want to cause a blockage. And therefore it's an Eitzah Tova to leave a minimum of chometz, and eat it all up. And if you just have some crumbs left, yes, you could either throw it away, or throw it into the garbage can, or flush it down the toilet. But it is recommended not to leave a lot of chometz. So, because actually the mitzvah of Sreifas chometz were Makayim Yud Gimel. Yud Gimel is not the Zman. But when Yud Dalet Chali is B'Shabbos, Yud Gimel is the Zman. Because every year we do Sreifas chometz only in a Zman D'Rabbanan. Shows the Rabbanon is a Rabbanon. And Yud Dalet Shechali is B'Shabbos, if the Haloch is Kirav Meir, Shemavaran Hakal Lefnei Shabbos, then that is when we're Makayim B'Yer Chometz. So Yud Dalet, the Shabbos, it's only getting rid of it. And therefore, we leave a minimum of Chometz. So the...
I'm sorry, leaving it in a separate private garbage bin? In America, people have...
Put out your private bin in the street and then
I think even that would be permissible, because Chatzera shel Odom einay koine loy bal korchoi. Chatzera shel Odom koine loy shelo medatoi, but not bal korchoi. And when it is clear that you want to be mafker, and there definitely is now gezeir of shemi yovei la'ochloi, when it's in the garbage bin, you could even if it's a private garbage bin, you could throw it out. But it would be more recommendable to leave a minimum of chometz for Shabbos, eat it all up, and the crumbs that are left, just flush them down the toilet or down the sink, and that definitely would be the most appropriate biur that one could imagine. So the Mechaber says, Toiv levaya b'erev Shabbos koydem chatzois, kedei shelo yavoy litois b'shar hashonim levayer achar chatzois. How about mechiras chometz? So, mechiras chometz is a minig. I don't think we discussed mechiras chometz. Maybe our next year would be on relevant shailas, and it's a fascinating sugya mechiras chometz. So, mechiras chometz has become almost a minig kavua. Almost everybody sells chometz, even though the vast majority of people in our society, besides businessmen and shop owners, but most people don't leave chometz gomer. But some do. If it's a hefsid meruba, even the machmirim could leave chometz gomer. So many of us have whiskey, and according to most of the achronim, whiskey is chometz gomer. But even those people that don't have chometz gomer still come to the Rov and sell the chometz. Do we need to be makbid that mechiras chometz should be also the same time as we do it every year, lifnei zman isuroi, because the Gemara clearly says, lachas zman isuroi, lav b'reshusei koi dilevatlei, and definitely lav b'reshusei koi de limkerei. So you can't sell chometz lachas zman isuroi. and that is why we're makpid in normal years. When we sell chametz on Yud Dalet, it has to be in the morning hours before Tchilas Mani Surah. So would we say that we should sell chametz in the same time as we sell every year, just like the Shulchan Aruch says we should be mevayer chametz the same time we are mevayer every year? So Tshuvas Maramshik says, definitely so. We need to be makbid and do the mechiras chametz in the same hour as we do that every year. That's Tshuvas Maramshik, Orach Chaim Siman Reishei. And the same is in Shoyel HaMeshiv, Shoyel HaMeshiv Chelik Vav. That's the last Chelik of Shoyel HaMeshiv, Siman Nun. And later Gedolim, Levushay Mordechai. The Levushay Mordechai is one of the great Ungarische Rabbonim, who was a real Godel, Ramot Chalai Winkler, Orach Chaim, Chelik Aleph, Siman Ayin Hey. So all these Gedolim recommend, just like the Mechaber and the Tur say, that we should do Bir Chometz on the same hour as we do it every other year, lest people confuse and mistake, and they will do Bir Chometz later. So the same would apply to Mechiras Chometz, and the Rav should be makpid to do it in the same time that one does it every year. But the Marsham disagrees. And not in Tshuvas Marsham, but rather in Das Torah of the Marsham, in Tov Mem Daled, the Marsham says, like Chazal say in many different sugas and Shas, Kohanim Zrizim, and you don't have to be choshish that Kohanim will make mistakes. We hope that Rabbonim Zrizim. So the layman, the Amei Aratzos, if they will remember, last year we did Seifes Chubbos in the afternoon. So they might get confused and they might mistakenly do in a normal year Yud Daled in the afternoon, and that is late. You can no longer be mevatel chometz, and even bir chometz. It's a chiyuv gomer to be mevatel chometz b'sof shol chamishis. But who does the mechiras chometz? The Rav does the mechiras chometz, and we don't have to be choshish that a Rav would make a mistake. However, in reality, the Rav tells the people when the mechiras chometz is, and until the Rav sells chometz to the goy, people will still be coming. And it is, the Rav maybe won't make a mistake, but if the Rav lets the community know that Yud Gimel, there's going to be mechiras chometz till 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and people will come 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a chashash the same they will do other years. So, even according to the Marsham, the limit which the Rav publicizes in the community, everybody has to come till 10 o'clock in the morning. But the Mechira, not the Harshoah, the actual Mechira is between the Rav and the Goy. And that has nothing to do with all the members of the community that signed Shitrei Harshoah. So according to the Masham, the Rav could call the Goy over whenever. It could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and do the actual Mechira. But he has to be makbid that the Shitrei Harshoah, the people should sign the Shitrei Harshoah only up to the morning hours, the same hours he would sell the chometz to the Goy in other years, when the Mechira is actually done, executed on Yud Daled and not on Yud Gimel. So I think, even according to the Misham, that you could do the Mechira later, but the Shitrei Harshoah should only be in morning hours, for the same reason that Bir Chometz is done Lifnei Chatzos, which means Lifnei Shoshishis, the same would apply to signing Shitrei Harshoah. So many Gedolim are machalik between the Mechira and the Harshoah. And it makes a lot of sense, because usually people know when the Rav does the Mechira. And many prominent members of the community, the minigis, come to the Mechira. And they participate, or they are present when the Mechira. So if the Rav is going to sell in the afternoon, people will come late to sign Shitrei Harshoah. And then there is the same cheshash that the Shulchan Aruch expresses. Shelo yavou litos b'shar hashonim levayer achar chatzos. So I think this is less a question of din, more a question of minhag. Because even regarding Bia Chometz, it's only Eitz Toiv Kamashmalon. The Lashon Mechaber is Toiv Levaya. The Mechaber doesn't mention the question of Bia Chometz. Because in the days of the Mechaber, Bia Chometz was not a ritual. It wasn't part of the ritual. It is only 200 years ago that we started doing a Mechira Klolis. Everybody comes to sign Shikrei Shor. That's a relatively new meaning, which was first found in the days of the Shoel HaMeishim Erev Shlomo Kluger, and it was a big controversy. Maybe we'll discuss it at our next year. So in the days of the Mishnah Berurah, it wasn't the Mina Kavua, and not the days of the Mishnah Berurah, the days of Shulchan. So we find the discussion, the first tshuva in this Indian is Maram Shik, and that is exactly in the time, the first generation, when the Mechira became a minhag kavua, and people used to come to the Rav's house, and the Rav was the one that did the Mechira. But in earlier generations, it was between every individual and the guy that he knew. And most people did or did not do a Mechira. So this is an interesting discussion. So in Europe, the problem was a much more tangible one than it is today, because many Jews in Europe were shopkeepers. That was a very, very mainstay, basic Yiddish parnosa. And in the little towns in Europe, in Eastern Europe, most of the makolas were owned by Jews, and the non-Jews also bought in Jewish stores. So, Erev Pesach, there was no other option. So Jews closed their shops in the very early hours. But Yud Gimel, when Erev Pesach, Kaliyas B'Shabbos, Jews desperate, Jews weren't very rich in Eastern Europe. Most of them barely put a pelosa together. And it was a hefsed merubah to close their shops Yud Gimel in the morning. They actually wanted to keep the shops open till Yud Gimel in the afternoon. So, therefore, that was the big discussion. Does the Mechira needs to be done in the same time as we do it every year, or could we do the Mechira in the afternoon? So, the Das Torah, the Marsham, first of all he writes, Mechiras Chometz is for Abonim, and Abonim are Zrizim, so there's no need to do the Mechiras Chometz early, could be in the late afternoon. The Marsham also suggests, even if the Rav does the Mechiras Chometz earlier, it should be stipulated in the Shtar Mechira that the Mechira will be Chal only 5 minutes before Shabbos, because the Masham was troubled. How could all those Jewish shopkeepers or shop owners keep on selling chametz after the chametz is no longer theirs? That would be too much of a chukah v'itlula. The Rav already sold the chametz to a goy 10 o'clock in the morning, and the Jews that sold their chametz are standing in the stores selling chametz she'einu shalahem and pocketing the money. It's not your chametz, so how could you sell it and take the money for yourself? Okay, so the guy that bought the chametz wouldn't mind, but that is a harama which is too obvious and too evident, and it turns the entire mechir into a chukah v'itlula. So the Masham writes, no, that shouldn't be a problem. A person could do a kinyan li'achal amid yoyim. So what would be the problem? We do mechiras chometz in the morning, kedei shelo yavo litois v'oser shar shonim, but the Rav stipulates with the guy that the mechiras chal 5 hours later, before Shabbos. So that's an eitz of the Mashal, of the Marsham. But it is a problematic eitz because usually we use the same Shar Mechira every year. So, we could still make it Tanai Baal Peh. But many Rabbonim don't know exactly how to make it night, what to say, how to formulate it night. So, Many other Gedolim said it is better to do the Mechira in the afternoon and not in the early morning hours. Because we're Machmil Agabe Biur Chumetz, but regarding Mechiras Chumetz, you could rely on the Rav. He won't confuse this year with other years, and that is Imre Yosher of Meir Arach Chelek Aleph Siman Kuf Mem Vav, and the Munkat Sheruv and Mincha Saroz Chelek Gimel Siman Chav Vav. The next topic I want to discuss is a very interesting shaila I dealt with, and I wrote an interesting shuvah. So our minig is to eat Shalashudis. Many people follow the minig of the Ramah. We do Shabbos Shalashudis like every Shabbos after Mincha, and we eat Peres or Bosa V'Dogim. That wouldn't be a problem. Some people split the Suda in the morning. Interesting, we do not find this minig in early sources, but all the Achronim bring it. So some great poskim margets a Baruch Hashem Tzricha. But the Magen Avraham maintains that whenever our goal, our rationale is a halachic rationale, there is no din of a Baruch She'ein Tzricha. The Magen Avraham says, even to be Mekayim Mea Brochas B'chol Yoyim, you could cause a brocha, and it would not be defined as Baruch She'ein. So even those that eat one Suda in the morning, usually Erev Pesach Shechali is B'Shabbos. We wash, eat a kazayis pas, and then take the bread off the table because we eat Pesach Dika food. It's Shabbos in the morning. Once the Shabbos is Yom Tov. So everybody has Pesach Dika food, use Pesach Dika dishes. Even if you use Chad Pa'ami. But you don't want bread on the table, you don't want the bread together with the food, so you eat a kazayis challah. Many people even go out on the porch or in the chutzah, and they wash and they eat a kazayis pas out there, and then they go into the house and they eat whatever they want to eat. So some present day Gedolim argue, ein pas poiteres es kol ha'seuda. Could I have Mishabur Chelik Beis? So in Kufa and Zion, we have halacha. On the one hand, pas, poiter, kol minei yoichlin. Whatever is bo machmas hasuda, you don't make a bracha. But the Shulchan Aruch says in Siv Beis. So Siv Aleph, Kufa and Zayin. Dvorim haboim b'torch hasuda. Im hem dvorim haboim machmas hasuda, dainu dvorim shederach lakvoi hasuda aleim, lelafis b'hem sapas, bosa, dogam, beitzim, yirokas, gvina, daisa, mina meluchim, whatever it is. Ein turim brocha, lo lefneim, velo achareim, berchas hamoitzi, poitreson. And then in Siv Beis we learn. Dvorim haboim liachar hasuda koydem berchas hamazon. Shoyu minik b'mei chachma gamosha, b'soif hasuda yom moishchin yedayim an apais. V'mesin hamoisai, so la'achar shemoshchu yedayim an apas, you need to make a bracha on any other food that you eat. Some Gedolim argue, is there any greater moshchu yedayim an apas than Erev Pesach Shechali es b'Shabbos? This is the ultimate moshchu yedayim an apas. You throw it all out, you wrap it up, you don't want to see one crumb on the table. Some even walk into another room. Is there any greater moshchi yedayim and a pas? Would we still say that the pas is poiter kol ha'oichlin, which is bo machmas a pas, lachas moshchi yedayim and a pas? So some Gedolim argue, when you eat Sudas Shabbos, Yudaled, b'boiker, you need to make a shahakol on the soup, on the meat, on the fish, and a boiler priyadom on the yerokas, ve'ena pas poteres kol minei yoichlin. And I wrote a shuv. I don't think it's printed in my sforum, and I say this is a mistake. Because the Shulchan Aruch makes it very clear what's the svara, what's the basis of this halacha. So let's read the lashon of the Shulchan Aruch. Dvorim haboim la'achar hasuda koydem berchas hamazon shoyu minik b'mei chachma gamosha b'soif hasuda היו מושכן ידיהם מן הפס ומסיר מויסוי. וקובם עצמם לאכול פירוס ולשתות כל מה שמביאים אז לפניהם. בין בדבור מבוא מחמס הסודה, בין בדבור מבוא שלא מחמס הסודה, תאונה ברוכה בין לפניהם בין אחריהם. And why is that? והמויצי אינו פויטר, אלא מה שנאכל תוך עיקר הסודה. So the reasoning of this halacha is, pas poiter is a suda, but only ikar hasuda. So Sidrei Suda have undergone a huge change from their days to our days. And when you learn Masechtas Brachas, you get an impression either they love to eat, or that they didn't have much to do. So first, they sat down in one place and they only washed their hands. And they drank wine. Then they got up and went into another place. And there they washed both hands. And they ate and they drank. And then, Moshchedem and Apas, Siluk HaShulchan. The trays were taken away. And they waited for the after dishes, for desserts. Today, we don't have time for anything. We don't have time to eat. We don't have time to talk, to converse. Recently, I wrote a tshuva about Oichel B'Shuk Doim El HaKelev. Today, walk in any city center. You have hundreds of people sitting in the street. Or the caves have their tables out in the middle of the street. Everybody is Oichel B'Shuk today. So, what would the question be? Doim El HaKelev or not Doim El HaKelev? Who would care? Posel le'edus. You can't be mekabel edus. So I just mean to say, the way we eat has undergone drastic changes. So the aside of this seif is la'achar shehesiru asapas v'moshu yedeyim en apas. It is no longer ikar hasauda. It's dessert. It's kinuach suda. Pas einoi poiter kinuach suda. That is the essence of this din. But Erev Pesach shechali is b'Shabbos. How could you say the suda is finished before it even started? Before it even started. How could you say it's no longer ikar suda? You gobble up one kazayas pas, and then you take the pas aside, and that is when you start the suda. So how could you say eina pas poiter ele ikar hasuda? So when the reason moshchidem and a pas is a different reason, it's not because they actually finished the suda, then this halacha wouldn't apply. Bechlal. In our modern world, we don't understand what's lalafes behemes apas. People, by the real sudas, by dinner, many people don't even eat pas, and even if you do, you just make a brocha on pas. We eat very little pas. When you eat a sandwich, you eat pas. But on the real sudas, fleischige sudas, we eat very little bread. Most people wash, but then start eating fish and soup and meat with all the tosafot, and they barely eat pas. So what's lelafes behemes a pas? But the basic halachas don't change. Ikar hasuda, hamoitzi poteres. You don't say a brocha. So to me, it is very clear that Erev Pesach shechali is b'Shabbos. In both scenarios, some people are marach b'suda. Erev Shabbos shechali is b'Shabbos, and part of the suda is la'achaz man isur achilas chometz. And you're still in the middle of the Suda. And in that case, there's more reason to argue Moshchidem and a pas. It's an Isagami, you can no longer eat pas. That is the real Moshchidem and a pas. Most families finish the Suda relatively early, before Zman Isuroi. But nevertheless, it's Moshri Deim and Apas because we don't want bread in the house. We don't want bread in our Pesach with the food. We definitely don't want breadcrumbs in our Pesach Dikid dishes. But I argue, Beinkach u Beinkach. Lifnei Zman Isuroi, or even La'achar Zman Isuroi, it would not be defined as Moshri Deim and Apas. Pas Preteres, Ikar HaSeuda. And this halacha only applies to Moshri Deim and Apas Lefi Minhagam. That the Ikar Suda was Pas, and all the other foods were Lalafes Behemes Apas. And therefore, Kishemoshri Deim and Apas Vehesiru, that means that they finished the Suda. And whatever you bring in now is Kinuach Suda. So, the Poskim deal extensively, the Magen Avraham and others. What is the din when the Rosh HaMishpucha said, Havlon v'nevorech? And then the Balas Abaye says, no, I forgot to bring one of the best dishes. And you could continue the Suda, but they no longer eat pas. She forgot to bring in the steak. So she brings Dvom She'asuyim Lelafis as a pas. But that's Moshri Deim and a pas, because they said Havlon v'nevorech. And that's a machlokes and achronim. So even in that case, it is no longer Ikar HaSuda, because they planned on benching. So even if they reconsider, now they're eating meat. So some achronim argue, but it's no longer Ikar HaSuda. If they planned on benching, obviously they're satisfied and they had a good meal. Benid and Didan, they didn't even start the Suda yet. So we can't say it's not Ikar HaSuda. And Anias Daiti, you don't make a bracha on anything Erev Pesach Shechali B'Shabbos, only on the dessert, only on Kinuach Suda. But on all the others, you don't make a bracha because pas preteres. The Chazon Ish, do we have a Chazon Ish here? Whenever I quote Chazon Ish, and I like to read Mitoich Devorah. Chazon Ish or Chaim. Simen Chav Zayin. I think it's Oy Zayin. And the Chazon Ish deals with the Magen Avraham about the question of Havlon v'nevorech. So, Simen Chav Zayin. Oy Zayin. I'm just quoting the Lashonis of the Chazon Ish. So the Chazon Ish argues, ויש לומר, דלעולם נטפל לסעודה אף על פי שכבר השיח דעתו ונמלח, כל שאוכל אחר כך לשביע, והודה ליחר המוזן טוען ברוכה, אין עיקר הטעם משום שמשכו ידיהם מן הפס, אלא עיקר הטעם משום שאוכלן לקינוח, ולא לשביע, ואכילס קינוח אינו נטפל לפס, מה שאין כאן לדידן, ואומר, Hav v'nevorach v'nimlach. So the Chazon Ish argues, anything you eat lesvia is nitpal elapas v'niftar beberchas apas. Kinuach is not nitpal elapas. So according to this formula of the Chazon Ish, it's also a milsa de pshita. So for different reasons, we don't eat chametz. We don't eat chametz in the Ikar HaSuda. But it's still Ikar HaSuda, and it's Nechal HaSviyah. Whatever is Nechal HaSviyah, nitpal elapas. But the biggest mitzvah is Chidushe Reb Yehuda HaChassid and Brochus Daf Mem Beis. And Reb Yehuda HaChassid deals mamish with our shaila, but in a totally different context. Totally different context. So there's a machlokes between Hillel HaZaken and the other Chachamim, whether Pesach Matzah v'Moror is Nechal biyachad or b'zeh achar zeh. Hillel hoyu koirech Pesach Matzah v'Moror v'yoichlum biyachad lekayim al Matzah semroirim yoichlu. That is the shit of Hillel. The Chachamim say no. matzah, morar, and then Pesach. So Rabbi Yehuda Chosid, in Toysus Rabbi Yehuda Chosid, the brocha stuff, Mem Aleph, and that's the sugya of Pas Poiteres, Kol Minei Yoichlin. So he says, Beleil Pesach Bizman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim. Did they say a Berchas Shahakal on the Pesach? Because according to the Chachamim, you need to finish the matzah before the Pesach. Mitzvahs mevatlei zu azu. You can't eat matzah together with the Pesach. And after the Pesach, ein maftirin achar Pesach apikoymen. You can't eat pas la'achar Pesach either. So Rabbi Yehuda Chosid asked the question, so Bizman Shebeis HaMikdash hayu kayim, we don't find that anyone says that they said a Birchas Shahakal al Korban Pesach. It's Moshchi Yedayim and Apas, because only according to Hillel did they eat matzah and Pesach and Morar biyachad. The others said matzah, biyachakach Pesach, and you don't need anything together with the Pesach, because mitzvahs mavat lezu azu. And you cannot eat pas matzah liachar Pesach either, because they maftin nachar Pesach afikoymen. So, Toysus Yehuda Chosid clearly says that the reason Moshchi Yedayim and Apas einoi elo mishum mitzvah, but the Ikar Asuda is the Korban Pesach, and therefore they do not say a brocha on Korban Pesach. And this is Mamish Araya Gemura Lenida Nidan. The reason Yudarat Shechal is B'Shabbos Moshchi Yehuda ben Apas is only mishum mitzvah, but it's still Ikar Asuda. It's still Nechal Soiva. And therefore, Pas Poiteres. So I think Rabbi Yehuda Chosid is a Raya Gemura to what I tried to explain. On one hand, technically, it's really Moshchi Yedayim and Apas. And it's the ultimate Moshchi Yedayim and Apas, especially if it's Lachas Man and Suroi. V'yafal piken, we don't say a brocha. Because Moshchi Yedayim and Apas is not a technicality. And Yesoid Dvoram is, like I read from the Chazon Ish and Simach of Zayin, and it's also Muchach from Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Brura, everyone. Pas Poiteres Ikar HaSa'udah. But what they bring to the table, La'achar Shemoshchi Yedayim and Apas, is no longer Ikar HaSudah. So as the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch and Shulchan Aruch Harav is Ikar HaSudah. The Chazon Ish makes it even clearer. Kol ma shenechal hasoiva, ein mavorchan olav. La'achar shemoshchi yedayim and apas, it is only kinuach, and therefore we say a brocha. So Yudalat Shechal is b'Shabbos, we don't say a brocha only on dessert and not on other foodstuffs. Kivan da'asine lahochi. In the Poskim it's clear that on dessert is defined kinuach suda, and therefore we don't say a brocha. I don't know who is the first one that quotes this, but many present Gedei Gedolim bring in the name of the Mishnah Brura that Bismanenu we don't say berchas or eitz, we don't say a brocha and kinuach suda. You're aware of that, yeah? Many Gedolim bring it. I don't believe it. I don't know what's the first source who said that, but it doesn't make any sense. So I know that the Moshe Sternbuch and many others, probably earlier sources, quote that the Mishnah Brura was chayzer boy and b'sof yom avipaskin, that you don't make a brocha on dessert, because today it's part of the Suda. And I don't really understand. I have a similar argument legabe pasabu bekisnin. I think people confuse how we define a Suda. So the argument is, it's part of the Suda, everybody eats dessert. And who says BMAM not everybody ate dessert? I think today, less people eat dessert than in their days. In my house, we almost never eat dessert. Don't know, maybe my wife was lazy, I don't know. But we were liquid to eat dessert. In their days, oh, they were very makbid. They were very makbid. They had their rituals and they were very makbid. It has nothing to do whether everybody eats or not everybody eats. It has to do with the definition. It's kinuach suda. and we call it dessert. And in Lashon Kodesh we call it liftan, and we call it mana achrona. It's after Ikar HaSeuda. So what does that have to do? The argument that they quote in the name of the Mishnah Berurah, everybody eats dessert. What does it have to do whether everybody eats or not? But it is clearly seen not as Ikar HaSeuda. It is seen as Kinuach Suda. And it is defined either as menachona or as dessert, or as whatever it is. It's not Ikar HaSeuda, and therefore I don't see any reason to change up. Halacha Pshut and Shulchan Aruch from the Gemara to the Shulchan Aruch. I totally disagree, and I think it's a psak that has no basis. Unless I'm missing something. If I'm missing something, please let me know. But and generally, I wrote a few different sources in my Sforim. The Mishnah Berurah was very prolific, and he wrote many Sforim. Ve'em choza bo b'sof yomav, it would be his greatest responsibility to let us know this halacha. And the Mishnah Berurah wrote Sforim Lach, which he distributed en masse. And whenever there was something which was nogel in Yonei Hadas, the Mishnah Berurah wrote Kuntreisim, and he wrote Sforim, and Befrat B'Sof Yomov, the entire world was mishtoikik le'imrei piv. He would find a way to make this halacha public, and he did not. And therefore, I totally disagree. I don't know who quotes the Mishnah Berurah. Whoever it is, I don't believe him. So I don't know who it is. I hope I'm not chepping with very, very great gedolim. I don't know. But there's no reason in the world to change this halacha. And it doesn't matter at all that everybody eats dessert. Probably in their days, they were more makbid to eat dessert than in our days. Because in their days, everything was formal. Everybody did the same thing, and everybody had the same minhagim, and it was a world of formality, and nobody dared to change anything. Today is a world which everybody does his own thing, nobody cares about ritual, nobody cares about the way things are done. But after all, Manachona is Kinuach Suda, it's not Ikar HaSuda, and as we saw, Siv Beis and Kufa and Zayin, Pas Poiteres Ikar HaSuda, Pas Einoi Poiter, Mashabola Acha Ikar HaSuda. So I would like to know, and please let me know, what are the sources that today so many in the literature world say you don't make a bracha on Kinuach Suda? Who says that, and what's the reasoning? And I would like to
Come
re-examine.
from Erie, Maganavis says not to make a bracha.
The what?
Erie and Maganavis says not.
Not to make a bracha?
Das
What?
Roish, anything you knew was going to be part of the... Sounds like Kinuach is only the mikra.
Only if it's,
The mikra, like it wasn't the...
that's the Meiri?
I think that's the quote from your Magenos.
But what is, if it's a Meiri, it's a Meiri. But we don't accept the Meiri generally as Aloha Psuka. But what is it based on? What is it based on? I mean, the sources of this halacha are clear. There's a difference between Ikar HaSuda and Kinuach Suda. And why would we argue that once upon a time it was B'mikra?
Is there a to say that because we don't have the formality they had, so the lines between Svi and Kinuach are more blurred. People have a whole Suda of salad and pears, and then the
So if we want to be Machadash halacha, it should be going the other way. That you say a brocha on the meat and on the fish and on the, but even though we eat less pas, but we explained before based on the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch and the Chazon Ish, we don't eat as much pas as they did, but there still is a difference between Ikar HaSuda and La'achar Ikar HaSuda. And there still is a difference of what we eat L'Shem Sviyah and what we don't eat L'Shem Sviyah. L'Shem Sviyah is the main dish. And after you finish the main dish, whatever comes later is definitely Kinuach. It definitely isn't Ikar HaSuda. So I see no reason, I don't know nothing basically changed in this sugya. But I'm always eager to learn. So I would like to see, the sources of this argument and deal with them. So this is what we have to say today about Erev Shkalis b'Shabbos. I assume that the sugyas of Matzah Shira and all the other sugyas you dealt with extensively in the Kollel, so I hope some of what we discussed today is probably not what you learned. Did you learn the sugya Kollel of Ikar Suda, whether the past Paita? And it's a very interesting sugya, so I hope we were mechadish some new yidis.